We talking about sports, get ball.
What it do, baby? Yeah.
What it do, you number one podcast listeners? Happy 2023. Prem Brulee's back, and without further ado, let's get going, baby. First up, this episode of the Prem Brulee podcast is brought to you by Sleep Battle Photography. Sleep Battle is a boutique photo studio in Asbury Park, New Jersey. From cinematic stills, unique and classic wedding and elopement photos, even product or commercial photography like you see for the Prem Brulee brand. Sleep Battle is a full-service studio, so visit their Instagram or website at Sleep Battle, that's SLEEPATTLE, or sleepbattle.com, and treat your eyes to something nice. Number one photographer for the number one podcast in your headphones, baby. You know what it is. But, you number one podcast, the Prem Brulee podcast is back. In this episode, I'm joined by my cousin, Sonny Bhatt. It was only right as we wrap up football season. I had to have my fellow family member, Cowboys fan on. And you already know it's about to get spicy. So welcome back, Sonny.
Yes, sir. Thank you. What's good, brother? Prem, number one podcast in your headphones right here, coming to you. Number one listeners of the podcast. Happy to be back. So let's get it.
All right, you number one podcast listeners, we're going to start off with yeah, fam or nah. And we're going to keep up with the word association. I know the last few times we've gotten real spicy and skipped this section, but we're getting back to it, back to the routine in 2023 for you, number one podcast listeners and your number one podcast listening headphones. So, Sonny, I'm going to give you a scenario. Give me a yeah, fam or non. Give me your thoughts, quick thoughts on it. But first and foremost, before we get spicy, it's only right that we acknowledge Damar Hamlin being able to return home to Buffalo after that scary incident on Monday Night Football. It is absolutely incredible to hear.
Yeah.
We can't stress how incredible the trainers and first responders were in saving his life. It's truly not hyperbole to say that his life was saved because of their springing to action. And shout out to Damar Hamlin himself for unifying so many people and positive thoughts and positive actions. I mean, you saw how much money was raised for his foundation and just how many positive thoughts were out there in the sports world and outside of it. It was a scary situation turned into hopefully a positive, and it's we're all glad to see him heading home and starting the long road to recovery. But it's nice to be talking about recovery instead of the alternative. So we want to acknowledge that before we get to all the sports. Obviously, it goes without saying that that was the most important thing, but we are going to digress into sports. So before you number one podcast listeners, we thought it was appropriate, Sonny and I, to share that. Goes without saying, but we wanted to say it.
Yeah, for sure.
For sure. All right, Sonny, let's get to the yeah, fam or nah. Let's digress into that sports and then digress even further into our spicy takes and perhaps yelling into the microphone. But first up, Georgia wins back-to-back national championships after a whopping 65-7 win over TCU. Just a quick recap. Georgia defeated Ohio State 42-41 in the Peach Bowl semifinal. TCU defeated Michigan 51-45 in the Fiesta Bowl semifinal. I'll go ahead and go first here. I'm a nah, clearly. My phrase for this one, for the word association, is not my champion. I did not watch a single minute of the game, of the title game. Go Bucks. And wow, what could have been if Ohio State would have just not messed up their final drives and put Georgia away. They'd be national champions. It really felt like TCU was overmatched. So if the Buckeyes were able to get past Georgia, and they nearly did, they probably should have. They probably were the better team. I don't think it's outrageous to say that they were the better team that day, but they didn't come out on top. It's as simple as that. But this national championship was theirs for the taking. It really felt that way, and felt inevitable if they were able to get past Georgia somehow that they would be champions, but they didn't. Anyway, Georgia, not my champion. Simple as that. You already know. Sound it, baby.
Petty alert, petty alert, petty alert.
Go Bucks, baby.
Yeah, we started off like that.
Forever.
All right, you're up, Sonny. What you got? Yeah, fam or non? Give me a word.
Also not fam, as I'm sure you knew. And I don't really have a phrase, but I do just have a word, and it is cakewalk. I was not expecting that game to go how it did. I was expecting a Georgia win, but by, 58 points? Yeah, that's kind of crazy. And just to touch more on what you said, it's definitely what could have been. I always said it all week leading up to it that, the Bucks and Georgia game was essentially that title game, and I was I was right by, like I said, 58 points. So yeah, it's just disappointing to see. You know, it was right there for the taking, but we had some questionable calls, both from coaching, from the referee standpoint, and you know, and then just a little added bonus phrase here: football is dead. But you know, we'll touch on that.
This episode is appropriately titled "Football is Almost Dead." We'll be sure to declare it probably about this time next week. But anyway, we won't jump the gun on that one. More to come on that. Stay tuned alert. Okay, next up, moving over to the NFL. We addressed the Damar Hamlin situation, but since his recovery and the prognosis was looking good, the conversation then shifted to what to do with the Bills and Bengals, because essentially they NFL decided that that game would not be resumed. So those two teams who are very much in contention for the top seeds in the AFC have played one less game than everyone else. What ended up happening is if the Chiefs and Bills make the AFC Championship game, it will be played on a neutral site. So NFL technically bases seeding off of a win percentage, and the one less game had implications for that for the Bills and the Bengals. What do you got for this one? Yeah, fair or not? Do you like the solution they came to? The Bills were the primary team that could have got the number one seed had they played that game against the Bengals and won. They would have had an opportunity for the one seed. Hence why if those two teams make the AFC Championship game, it'll be at a neutral site. Did you like the solution they came to, Sonny? Yeah, fam or not? To that scenario?
Yeah, I'm a yeah fam on this. You know, I thought about it, and you know, obviously first and foremost, everything with you know, Hamlin. You know, we wanted to make sure all that was okay, but. Yeah, I'm a yeah fan on this, and the phrase for me would be, you know, the NFL got something right.
Yeah.
You know, question mark, exclamation, question mark. You know, they I really think they kind of nailed it on the head with this one. It's, you know, a delicate situation. I don't think, you know, there's just a lot of times where the NFL gets so few things right that I think that they really did their best here given the circumstances, and it, you know, it's an unprecedented time for what happened on the field with that game last Monday, and there was never going to be a solution that worked for everybody and for all parties. So I really think this was the best possible outcome to have that neutral field, and the Bengals Ravens, that, you know, that's not going to matter since they lost. But I just think, again, overall, given the situation, it was the best thing they could have done, and the best win-win that they could have came with.
I'm a yeah fam to this. My phrase was coin flip. You kind of touched on it. So, yeah, digressing to the game that's less important after Damar Hamlin started his road to recovery, the NFL did have to come up with a solution knowing the unlikelihood of that Bills-Bengals game being made up, especially at the point in the season they were at. It was the Week 17. It was a Monday night game, so they had 1 week to maybe play with. I would have loved for them to make up that game and just push the playoffs back and then skip the Pro Bowl. But I know that's a lot of moving parts. So obviously it was a easier solution to just not resume that game. Like I said earlier, the Bills had a chance at the number one seed, and by playing one less game, the Chiefs were able to clinch the top seed. So it's only right that if it does come to that in a game that decides it, they should not give the Chiefs an added advantage at home, just because of that, you know, once in a NFL history scenario. Will say, going back to my phrase, the only thing that the NFL got wrong was that scenario. If the Ravens had beat the Bengals in Week 18, they were going to have a coin flip to decide which of the teams got to be at home for that game. That is such a huge game to be messing around with that. I thought, in interest of like using the neutral site idea, I thought that would have been an infinitely better idea to do instead of having a coin flip decide that game. I mean, it seems so obvious, but it's weird that they did that. Now, they did get saved because the Bengals avoided that disaster of having to do a coin flip by beating the Ravens in Week 18 and making that all moot. But that, I thought, was the one hiccup. As much as the NFL usually messes up, at least they avoided that one.
Yeah, and I think another thing to think about is, you know, given the other option they had where, like you said, play the Week 19, so to speak, and push everything up back a week, you know, that gives all other 6 teams, you know, another or I guess 12 teams for both conferences, gives them an extra bye week, and then then you bring it in that into effect as everyone else gets extra rest, but we're playing back to back to back. So I just think they did the most efficient thing that they could have done. And
efficient's a good word. All right, Sonny, that's gonna wrap up FM or Not. We are gonna move on to the meat of the episode, and you played yourself, so let's hit that intro, baby.
I'm petty as hell.
And
I'm super petty.
here we
Petty Le Pew.
go.
All right, you number one podcast listeners, we know what you came here for. So, first up on You Played Yourself, we're going to run through these. You give me quick thoughts if you have anything to add, Sonny. First up, You Played Yourself, TCU, 65-7. Really?
So, congratulations.
Really?
You played yourself.
I mean, the largest margin ever. You couldn't show up less to a game than that. And TCU's performance only serves to make all Buckeye fans even saltier. It's the ultimate could have, would have, should have. They could be national champions right now. So, on that note, You Played Yourself goes to the Peach Bowl referees. Everyone, it was fucking targeting on Marvin Harrison Jr. I don't know how else to say it. I had people telling me, oh, it's how they teach how to hit. I don't care how they teach it. That doesn't mean it's not targeting. Just because that defender did what he was supposed to doesn't make it not targeting. What a game-changing, game-altering reversal of targeting. And the rule says, when in doubt, it's targeting. I have no idea how a replay left zero doubt for the call on the field to be overturned. And then, do you think Ohio State could have used Marvin on those crucial endgame plays that went incomplete? The ones that Ohio State messed up on their last two offensive drives? I didn't stick around to see who won defensive MVP for Georgia, but it sure as hell should have been Javon Bullard for that cheap shot hit. And yes, it was a cheap shot. And I'll go the rest of my life thinking that was a bullshit call, because it fucking was. That was targeting, and it changed the whole course of the game. We could be sitting here, Buckeyes national champs, with Marvin Harrison Jr. Now, a lot of other things happened after that, and I acknowledge that, but that absolutely was fucking targeting. And granting a timeout to Kirby Smart on what would have been a fake punt, can you fucking referees call the timeout before Ohio State runs the actual play? What they did by doing that is, now Georgia knew the play was going to be a fake, and of course Ohio State's not going to run it again. So I would just love for there to be like a time limit of when you can call fucking timeout. Once they snap the ball, it's over. Fucking over. Stop it. Because they ruined that play. They ruined that fake. Yes, the referees did miss 12 men on the field by Ohio State, but that's neither here nor there. That's not what we're talking about here. Anyway, You Played Yourself, Peach Bowl referees. Definitely the targeting I thought was fucked up to reverse. I don't think I've seen that too often.
It's just where's the consistency for me? I think college does a good job in terms of reviewing and kind of stopping the game, and makes it a little slower, but they do a good job with it usually. But there's just no consistency with it. Like you said, if you have that on a review and that gave you absolutely zero doubt, come on. It doesn't. It just simply just doesn't. No matter who you're rooting for, you got to stick with that call, and they called it. And this is consistency, or lack of. I guess SEC bias reigns strong, baby.
Yeah, no kidding. Staying on that same note, obviously the theme to start, You Played Yourself, but I got to send a You Played Yourself to Ryan Day. He almost called a perfect game in the Peach Bowl. Almost. But he just couldn't help himself on those last two offensive drives. That long developing screenplay on the second to last drive led to a sack. And then he chose to pass the ball and stop the clock instead of forcing Georgia to use their last timeout. Ended up with Ohio State kicking a field goal, but then Georgia was able to use that last timeout on their last drive that obviously, inevitably, was a touchdown drive. You just knew they were carving up Ohio State's defense. You just knew when Ohio State settled for 3 and went up 6 points that their defense was going to give it right back to Georgia. And they did. They were down 42-41. Then we all know C.J. Stroud wills them into field goal range with plenty of time. Instead of running the ball 3 times to get some yards, they treat a 50-yard field goal as a chip shot. And of course it misses. I mean, the theme of that is what could have been. But You Played Yourself to Ryan Day, and along those same lines more so, Jim Knowles, Ohio State's defensive coordinator. He's the highest paid defensive coordinator in the country. The defense was abysmal. He spent all year getting smoke blown up his ass for how much he improved the defense, only to give up 87 points in their final 2 crucial games, the ones that matter the most, against Michigan and against Georgia. The Buckeyes overhauled their entire defensive staff, starting with Jim Knowles. They went and got him after last year, only to get similar results. He's getting paid far too much for the defense to suck this bad when it matters most. And I understand he can't get his personnel in right away. But 87 points in the final 2 games is unacceptable. Not if you're getting paid that much. Not when it matters most. Your team can't give up stupid mistakes. You can't run cover fucking 0 against Michigan. You can't leave someone one-on-one when you're up against Georgia and give them a quick 20-second touchdown scoring drive. You can't do it. I don't understand some of these play calls. And it's like he didn't realize who he had on his roster. I can't imagine why you would stick these sorry-ass corners one-on-one coverage only to get absolutely crushed. So you played yourself to both of the primary coaches, Ryan Day, the head coach, and Jim Knowles, the defensive coordinator. Again, what could have been, but you played yourself absolutely. They totally screwed what could have been 2 huge games for them. Now, that Michigan game was probably more out of hand, but that Georgia game should have been a win. And, we're going to sit here and blame some offensive mistakes, but the fact of the matter is your offense put up 41 points against that Georgia defense, that vaunted Georgia defense, and your Ohio State defense couldn't hold up their end of the bargain at all. Not even anywhere close to it.
Yep.
Anything to add there?
Just no, you you nailed it right on the head, man. It's just more of what could have, the coulda, woulda, shoulda, like you said. It's just tough, like digesting it and really thinking about it that day after. I was like, damn, that was right there. That was a dub. It was a 3-score game, 3-score lead in the late second half.
That game's gonna sit with me for the rest of my life. I put it this way: that game, the 2019 Fiesta Bowl against Clemson, that one I still do blame on the referees. They overturned a catch fumble, Justin Ross, that Ohio State returned for a touchdown. Trevor Lawrence won an Oscar for his acting job and getting targeting calls and ejections in that one. That one's going to stick with me forever. And then in 2015, Ohio State played Michigan State at home. It was a year after they won the title. They had a loaded roster with people still playing on Sundays in the NFL, and they lost that game. Zeke was sick all week. He only got 11 carries, and they lost to Michigan State on a last-second field goal, and you had to watch that stupid-ass kicker doing like an arm windmill all across Ohio State's field. Those 3 losses are going to stick with me forever, I think. Be telling my son about those. They're always going to bother me. And this Georgia one was, prisoner of the moment, but it's top of the list, at least for right now. We'll see how it sits. But anyway, let's move over to the NFL. The theme in this episode, we called it Football's Almost Dead. So it's football heavy here. Okay, you played yourself. Our family, full of Houston Texans fans, they were in the driver's seat for the number 1 pick. They just had to go and win a meaningless game against the Colts. They won their way out of a number 1 pick, which now goes to the Bears. Who the Bears already have a franchise quarterback, a ton of cap space, and likely could get a lot more capital if they trade that number 1 pick, which I would hope they do. I've heard some so-called experts already have the conversation about trading Justin Fields and drafting Bryce Young. That is absolutely asinine, especially after the season Justin Fields just had. But I'll put nothing past the power of the media to control NFL draft narratives. After what I saw what happened with Justin Fields that year, he was drafted, what ended up being the 4th quarterback taken. Nothing will surprise me anymore. They have the power to push these stupid-ass stories. They have the power to blow smoke up Zach Wilson's ass for a pro day workout tape while nitpicking Justin Fields' mechanics while he played in one of the best conferences in all of football. But nothing will surprise me. Anyway, back to the Texans. They went for 2 to win the game, and they got it, of course, when they didn't need to get it. Lovie Smith was fired the very next day. But the Texans will pick at 2, and obviously you played yourselves to them. But just to round out what will be the top 10 draft order, The Bears will be at 1, Texans 2, Arizona Cardinals at 3. The Colts will pick at number 4. The Seahawks will pick at number 5 because of the Russell Wilson trade. That's actually the Broncos pick that was traded to them. Number 6 will be the Lions, who will be picking. That's the Rams pick in the Matthew Stafford trade. The Raiders will pick at 7, Falcons at 8, Panthers at 9, and the freaking Eagles are picking at 10 because for some reason the Saints gave them a first-round pick that ended up being top 10. I have no idea why, but the number 1 seed in the NFC is going to have a top 10 pick in the draft plus their very own, which will be at the end of the first round. So anyway, that's the top 10. Those of you who are eliminated probably already going to mock drafts, but keep that.
It's crazy to think those 3 trades right there with the top 10, the Hawks, the Lions, and the Eagles. All those teams maybe even arguably won their trades. Rams got the Super Bowl, of course, but, looking forward, looks like the Lions are coming out on top of that trade. And all 3 of those teams are playoff teams, playoff caliber / and they're in the top 10. So it's just crazy. Fucking crazy.
Unreal. Never would have thought. On that same note, we kind of just mentioned them, the LA Rams. You just mentioned both those teams. The LA Rams, you played yourself. You just couldn't beat the Seahawks. Instead of getting the exciting Lions team as a number 7 seed in the NFC, the Packers left us with the Seahawks backing into the playoffs. I had to put a you played yourself to the Rams and Baker Mayfield for not giving us this exciting-ass Lions team in the playoffs just to see what they could do. Now, I don't think any one of them are going to beat the Niners as the 2 seed, but would have been exciting to see.
All I'm just happy about is the Packers being dead, so God bless America.
There we go. Okay. All right. Before we get to the main event, I did want to put a you played yourself to Monday Night Football in the playoffs. Why is this a thing? Why do 2 teams, the Bucs and the Cowboys, have to play Monday night? And how on earth is it competitively fair for the winner of that game, the Bucs, we know it will be, to play on up to 2 days less rest than their opponent? So let me give you a very realistic scenario. The Giants beat the Vikings because the Vikings are the 3 seed but have historically the worst point differential ever for a team. Like, their point differential, they're an anomaly with their point differential. They should be near 500, and somehow they have made their way into a 3 seed. Anyway, so realistic scenario, Giants beat the Vikings. The Bucs beat the Cowboys. That would mean the Giants play the Eagles in the divisional round, and the higher remaining seed, Bucs, would play the Niners. Now, the Niners play on Saturday night. That would mean they'd have a full 2 extra days of rest than the Bucs in that scenario. I get Monday Night Football's ratings, but the NFL gets numbers no matter what. I don't see how this is even a thing and why this was started this year. And then also, you played yourself for us having to wait an extra day to watch the Cowboys inevitably lose the opening round again. So that's some bullshit too. And on that note, we've come to the main event. What you came here for. You played yourself goes to, for some reason, our beloved Dallas Cowboys. So before I let you, I know your blood was boiling and we had to do this podcast together, and we'll inevitably do next episode together too when they're eliminated, when it gets even spicier. But essentially, the Cowboys had the slimmest of chances to move up to the number 1 or 2 seed in the NFC. Yet they decided to play their starters. I sent a text in our family group chat. I said, might be a hot take, but I think they should rest their starters because the Cowboys, in order to move up to number 1 or number 2, needed the Eagles to lose to the Giants, who are resting their players, and/or the Niners to lose to the Cardinals, which, I mean, I just told you the Cardinals are picking in the top 5. So it was absolutely a slim chance that they were going to move up anywhere beyond the 5 seed. They decided to play their starters. And if you think about what the worst possible outcome to that, other than like a key injury, it's that you play a team without their best players, the Commanders, and you, the Cowboys, play all of your best players, and then proceed to look like absolute dog shit on your way to a 26-6 loss. On your way to like one of the most asinine pick sixes by Dak Prescott, who leads the league in interception despite missing multiple weeks. Do you think that this worst possible scenario would happen to the Cowboys? Of course it fucking did. Because, why? They're the Cowboys. The Cowboys are allergic to prosperity, and they do just enough to get our hopes up, just to shoot them down in just absolute flaming glory. There is not a team colder going into the playoffs right now. Their defensive numbers are tanking. Dak Prescott all of a sudden has turned into a turnover machine. The dude went from the best ball security in the league to a gunslinger quarterback, and the worst gunslinger ever. Like, the interceptions you watch him make are just so dumbfounding. You know, it's inevitable. You and I have been saying this for weeks now. It was trending this way as the Eagles, you know, looked like they were wrapping up the 1 seed. They made it interesting because Jalen Hurts got hurt, right? We knew this. It was inevitable. Another wildcard exit is coming. They've never beat Tom Brady, and they'll lose to the 8-9 NFC South champs, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You just know it's going to happen.
Great.
They have trended downwards. The Buccaneers realistically have no business being in the playoffs, but the division rules are the division rules. So the Cowboys are traveling to Tampa Bay to play them, and they're going to lose. They've never beat Tom Brady, because why? There's just this aura around the Dallas Cowboys. Like, no matter what, they're different players, different coaches, whole new teams, dynamics, yet this franchise continually just underperforms in, like, just such dramatic fashion. There's just something in the air there in that facility that they will, I'm convinced, never get past. This team is so super cold going into the playoffs, and I don't trust Dak protecting the ball. This defense isn't even getting a pass rush all of a sudden. Their cornerback too. Oh my God, I have no idea. The Buccaneers have Godwin and Evans. Whoever gets matched up with the second cornerback on the Cowboys is just going to be feasting. And that, along with the run defense, I'm sure Fournette will have a bounce back game, and we're looking at an early exit. But nonetheless, I digress. We're going to save a lot of the spicy for next week when the inevitable does happen. But the floor is yours. Cuz, have at it. You played yourself.
Deep breaths, baby, deep breaths. Before I even get into it, can we officially just name this segment here in about 4 or 5 days, the You Played Yourself segment, to the Dallas Cowboys Award?
We might as well.
Because, goddamn, man, just every year, might as fucking well. Because, every year it seems we come to this moment, every year there's a hype around the team, there's aura around this team, there's some success even around this team, and maybe the quote-unquote, maybe this is the year, we finally break through, right? But then every year, all of the haters, the negative people, not even the negative people, because, I might be one of them, but the haters are still laughing.
The trolls. They're trolls.
And the trolls. There it is. Trolls, the haters are still laughing at us, and we're here just, it's like that meme where you're smiling, but then you have, like, the smiley mask, but then underneath you're, like, mad and crying. That's a Dallas Cowboys mascot. So that's just what it is, the Eagles, to touch on, like you said, we had a chance at the 1 or the 2, but the Eagles were playing the practice squad of the Giants. They weren't playing Saquon, they weren't playing anybody, and it was essentially pointless for us to play in that regard, because we're not really playing for anything. No matter what happened to us, we were locked in the 5, right? So they said, okay, no, we're going to play our starters, we're playing to win this game, it's our get right game, build some momentum. All of that sounds fan-fucking-tastic, but what happens? A 26-6 thumping from a quarterback in Washington that was on last chance use. So that's just where we are. That's where the state of our team is. So I truly can't even tell you his name right now, the quarterback's name. So that's that.
Sam Howell.
There it is, Sam Howell. I was at a watch party that day, and they kept saying his name's Owl, so they just kept saying who all day.
Who?
Exactly. So
who?
Cue up that soundbite. Who?
Who?
But it's more the same story, man. We just couldn't get out of the way of our own selves with those stupid turnovers, unforced turnovers, and stop me if you haven't heard that from a Cowboys game before. The defense has been, first half of the season, they were literally a top 3 unit in pretty much all categories.
So fun to watch at the beginning.
Oh my God, they were balling, man. They were going crazy. They were flying after the ball, turnovers, sags, stopping. Like, it was just so fun to watch. We haven't had that in a very long time. But our dad came to town, and Aaron Rodgers, and that kind of just broke us. And we've been regressing ever since, you know. I know, yeah, we have injuries. 2 of our cornerbacks are hurt. You know, Micah's hurt. D-Law was, you know, we've had injuries everywhere. But every team in the NFL goes through injuries and they make adjustments. And the great teams especially make those adjustments and they just keep on going. But we can just never do that. We can never adjust. In short, you know, no matter what the situation is, Dallas struggles mightily at adjusting. So, you know, I touched on Micah. He hasn't looked right since then, and he's been playing injured for weeks, but he wants to keep playing. But, you know, there needs to come a time where the coaching staff comes in and says, hey, you're one of the best players on our team in the damn league. You need to just sit your ass down. And that, you know, that's the same said for everybody, not just Micah. Micah's been pushing it and been the front of that, but coaches at that point just got to be like, hey, no, you're pretty damn good, pretty important to our plans. You're sitting out a week. Especially it's a game like this where it was essentially for nothing, you know. And, you know, I always hear it, Sonny, you're being so negative. Sonny, give out some positive thoughts. You know, give those good vibes to your team. Yeah, okay, sure, Becky, but what has that done in the last 2 decades, right?
From the bottom of my heart, I'd like to take this chance to apologize to absolutely nobody.
Like, what are we doing here? Like, positivity, kiss my ass. Apologize to my mamas because, you know, they kicked, you know, but, yeah, nah. And you kind of touched on it. You feel like this is never going to stop, and I think there's a reason for that. I think until Jimmy Johnson gets his due and gets his shout-out and flowers from our good boy Jerry, I think this team, you know, there's a hex on us. I truly think that. Ever since he left, it's been downhill.
It's weird to say that, but I just something about it. The hex is a perfect way to put it.
It's Mardi Gras season. Maybe there's a voodoo curse out there. There's a doll with our names of Dallas on it. I don't know. But it's just, I think until Jerry makes good on that and mends that relationship, I don't think there's going to be anything here. And that could be a spiritual look at it. But, you know, we're looking at a lot of different ways here. So, you know, I hope I'm wrong. I hope you're wrong. But, you know, come next Monday, I just think that Tom Brady's going to have a game-winning drive and slit our hearts open once more, and we're going to be right where we are expecting to be. So, but again, it's our favorite saying. It's a family saying at this point. You know, we are just allergic to prosperity as Cowboys fans. So, but you know, stay tuned, alert, my dear number one podcast listeners. You know, we're just warming this up. We wanted to get the stove going because as soon as Monday rolls around and me and Prem have a yelling match on our text message group, we'll be right back
What
here.
it do, baby?
It's the biggest you played yourself of the season.
Yep. They will inevitably get our hopes up, only to shoot them down. We know it. Like you said, it's happened before. It's been written.
It's been written. Well, when you said probably a month ago that the Bucks are gonna crawl into the playoffs and we're gonna get a dagger in. You said it, yeah.
Yeah, you just knew. I was hoping so bad that the Panthers beat them because I was like, all right, I don't think the Panthers have any kind of unwritten curse on us. Like Tom Brady's never lost to the Cowboys, but you just knew the Buccaneers were going to back into it because that's what happens with Tom Brady. And here they are, 8-9, and they get a home game. The Cowboys suck on grass, and there we go. It's going to happen.
And we're wearing our blue jerseys, which, you know, is historically not a good look. So everything's just there. Even the Bucks said, "Nah, you're wearing the blues." So love to see it, baby.
Yep. Can't spell blue without the L. So anyway,
You're great.
let's wrap up. You played yourself with some non-sports. You played yourselves. You know, I have my things that I want to nominate for immediate retirement on. You played yourself. So I'll go first. I think you have one too. I've noticed a lot of grown-ass adults being picky eaters. How do you reach like your 30s and still haven't tried some basic foods? I'm not talking extravagant stuff, but I got you played yourself to picky eaters. Like, grow the fuck up. And you know picky eaters always try to convince you that they have some advanced palates. Like, and I bet if you disguise the thing that they claim to not like, they wouldn't even notice. Like, I feel like one of the big ones is like people claim to not like mayo, and then you could sneak it in any fucking sauce, and they wouldn't have any idea.
I don't like mayo. I like
Anyway,
aioli.
Aioli, yeah. What a
Jesus
glow
Christ.
up rebranding. All right, you got one for us?
I do, man. I do. New Year's just came along. So first off, Happy New Year to everybody listening here with us.
Happy New Year, yeah. You number one podcast listeners. Big things in 23, baby.
Big things, baby. Big things. But one thing it just irks me is, can we please just retire the new year, new me, or new year, new whatever phrase? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I'm all about the new year, new me, and, if you're applying it and, the betterment of yourself, physically, mentally, whatever the case may be. Big fan of that, big advocate of that, but can we please just get rid of that phrase? Like, please. It's just a Hallmark-ass Comic Sans vomit, and I hate it. I've been hating it forever, so please. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Oh, man.
All right. Let's go on to who you got and what you feeling. First up, I wanted to talk NFL head coaching vacancies because obviously the regular season ended, so we want to talk about the jobs that are going to open up. So, So far, we have Arizona, Carolina, Denver, Houston, and Indianapolis that all have head coaching vacancies. I don't think I missed any. Some leading candidates that have been very popular amongst most of them are D'Amico Ryans, who's the defense coordinator for San Francisco. Houston would be stupid not to try to do everything they can to get him. He's a former Houston Texans player. The offensive coordinator for Detroit, Ben Johnson, is very popular. You've seen some of the creativity that the Lions have had this year. Shane Steichen, the offensive coordinator for the Eagles. The defensive coordinator for the Eagles, Jonathan Gannon, has also been listed a lot. Ejiro Evero, the defensive coordinator on the Broncos. And then, obviously, some bigger names. Sean Payton, former head coach of the Saints. Now he comes with a price tag because he's technically still under contract with the Saints. So anybody trying to get him would have to pay the Saints reportedly a first-round pick. And then our good old You Played Yourself Hall of Fame member, Jim Harbaugh, has been flirting again with the NFL. And it seems, again, like legitimate. Even though he's claimed he's committed to Michigan, he was careful with how he worded it. So it seems like he is very interested. And a lot of reports are saying if he's offered a job, he probably will take it. I wanted to ask you, what would be the ideal vacancy right now? You're a coach and all five offer you. Where would you want?
Yeah, I personally am going to go with Indy. I think they have the best overall talent and roster, offensively and defensively to get closer and right back into contention. One with that being in that division that's always up for grabs. And you have a running game. You have a top 5 running back. You normally would have an O-line when healthy is a top 5 unit. You have a defense that was playing its heart out even though they were put in terrible positions by the QB carousel. So if I was a coach, I'm really looking at Indy. If they offered me, and you get some reign there with the players and with some of your staff, I really think they're the soonest built to win. And I'm going to go with Indy, but I think a close runner-up is a big caveat with Mr. Unlimited there, but Denver is a damn good spot, too.
You gotta be unlimited. You gotta have a thought process of being unlimited. I'm unlimited.
So that's just an honorable mention, but it just depends on strictly how you feel at Russ at this point, because you're not getting rid of him, so. But Indy overall for me.
It feels like Arizona and Denver are really similar openings. Like, do you like the quarterback that you'd be attached to? Because they do have good defenses, they have some good weapons, but you're only as good as your quarterback. So do you feel comfortable with Kyler in Arizona and Russell in Denver? I'm going to pick a dark horse. I think I'm going to go with the Panthers, and hear me out here because it doesn't seem obvious. I think they have a lot of offensive weapons. They're about a quarterback away, and their defense is young and really good. But I think the other thing is there wouldn't be expectations right away. And I think that's probably crucial. Like, you could actually build that team the way you want, and you have pieces that could really help a young quarterback, or they could go the direction of, because the Panthers kind of they're in no man's land. So they work their way into out of that quarterback sweepstakes unless they trade up. But if they decide not to do that, there are going to be a fair amount of veteran quarterbacks that could hold them over.
Yeah.
And they could probably compete in the NFC South. I mean, that's another division that's wide open, and you never know what they can do. They, of course, got rid of Christian McCaffrey, but they still have DJ Moore. They have 2 really good running backs and a pretty decent line and a really good defense. So I kind of like the dark horse candidate there. Obviously, I agree with you that Indy is probably the best one, but I was trying in the interest of mixing it up.
I like it. I agree with that.
Our main who you got. I wanted to get your picks in the NFL playoffs, the wild card round. Who you got? I'll go first. I'll give you my matchups, and then you can tell me which ones you agree with. So, I think that in the NFC, it's going to be by division round. It's going to be Eagles versus Giants and Niners versus Bucks. So the 1, 2, 5, and 6 seeds.
Okay.
In the AFC. I think this is going to be pretty popular, but I think it's going to end up being the Chiefs against the 5 seed Chargers. I think the Chargers will beat the Jags. And then I think we're heading towards Bills versus Bengals, the 2 versus the 3. So those are my picks for division round. So essentially I think Giants upset the Vikings, Bucks beat the Cowboys, obviously Niners beat the Seahawks. In the AFC, I think Chargers beat the Jags, Bills beat the Dolphins, and the Bengals beat the Ravens. Who you got?
Love it. I love it. I'm pretty much right there with you with Minnesota over Giants. That would be my only difference. You said the Giants would win, but I do think Minnesota will take care of business. I don't think the Giants are there yet. Both of them have been, playing with fire when it comes to having those one-score games and generally winning them. So I think Minnesota will hold that one more week until they get to the divisional, but I will pick them over the Giants. And then everything else I agree with. I got the Niners over the Hawks and Chargers over the Jags, Bills over the Dolphins, Bengals over the Ravens. And last but not least, you might have noticed I missed one in the NFC, and that kind of on purpose, but word to our brother.
Don't do it.
Word to our brother Vish, another co-host here with you. I'll use a little bit of his zigzag term here, and I'm going to zag a little bit. I did just go off for about 4 minutes as to why I have the pain, right? I know. Everyone listening is like, this man's really about to do it. Yes, I'm about to do it. Yeah. I'm going to zag, and I'm going to pick the boys over the Bucks. I'm going to do
congratulations.
it. With no expectation because of what I said, but let's just get a little weird with it, right? I mean, I've tried everything else, so let's get a little spicy, right? I'm gonna zag. I'm gonna zag a little bit and go with our dear boys.
So with your matchups, the division round would be Philly and Dallas, and then it would be 49ers, Vikings, based on the picks you made.
Yes.
And then your AFC would be the same as what I listed.
Correct. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Let's move on to what you feeling. I will go first because I'm very excited about this. I'm feeling that my son Barrett turns 1 very soon. He had his first Christmas, and he had all the grandparents there. It's truly incredible. I can't believe how fast this year has gone, but seeing the world through his eyes has been truly incredible. Best year of my life. It's been really fun to see, and I'm very excited for him to turn 1, although also my wife and I are very emotional about it because it just feels like we're putting together all the years worth of things and looking at pictures, and it's wild to see how much growth there's been in a year. But yeah, he turns 1, so couldn't imagine anything else what I'm feeling. You couldn't faze me one bit. He was born on the day the Cowboys lost to the 49ers in last year's playoffs, and he'll turn 1 on the day that they probably lose to the Bucks, but even the Cowboys couldn't bring me down from that. So that's what I'm feeling. What about you, Sonny?
Amen, brother. Amen. Well, yeah, shout out to my young king, Mr. Bear. Shout out to him. Truly one of the better moments for me last year was sneaking up to Ohio and seeing y'all, meeting him, and Vish's kiddo, Calvin, for the first time. So just a little extra there to add on to that from you. But shout out to the boy Bear.
Yeah.
And other than that, I'm feeling slowing down and taking care of myself.
I love that.
I've always been, one to just kind of be all over and kind of just do any and everything, just having that FOMO, missing out for events with friends, family, but you really just got to listen to yourself. You got to listen to your own body, listen to your own mind, and really take that time to kind of just be, because that's just as important as showing up and being there for events, because you got to be right in yourself. So that's what I've been trying to do lately. So I've been feeling that.
I love that, man. I love that. I need to learn that too myself. I feel like I've been that way too in the past. Obviously, having a kid slows that down for you. The priority's inherently there, but I love that. Taking time to yourself is the most important thing, because you can't be filling other people's cups if you don't have anything to work with yourself.
Yes, sir.
On that note, that's a nice segue into Too Much Sense for this episode. Let's hit it. Okay. You number one podcast listeners, the first episode of the new year, I've been known to talk about New Year's resolutions and the importance of not being annoyed at people trying to better themselves. You guys have heard this spiel before. I usually use the example, namely, of regular gym goers. Your gym's more crowded than the New Year's resolutioners. Obviously, that still goes. Like, be patient with them. Everybody started somewhere. You started from somewhere. Don't hate on the people bettering themselves. But this year, you number one podcast listeners, I want to encourage you all to make resolutions for your mentals too. It's easy to focus on the physical, but what are you doing for your mind? Maybe you want to try your hand at meditation. Maybe you want to try to be more positive. Maybe you want to start practicing more grace to yourself and others. I encourage this new year to be used as an opportunity for yourself in a way that fosters growth internally. Physical health is very important. I don't mean to downplay that, but I think too often we focus on that instead of starting from the inside out, and that's just as important. So you hit it from what you're feeling, just taking care of yourself first, and a huge part of that is the mentals. So I encourage you, number one podcast listeners, to, if you are a New Year's resolution person, to add something that's good for for the soul, for the brain, for the heart, that sort of thing, not just working out or something on the outside.
Love that, brother. I love that.
So
nailed it,
sir. You number one podcast listeners, we are back in 2023, a brand new edition of Prem Brulee in your number one podcast listening headphones has been delivered. I've been your host, Premal Bhatt, been joined by my cousin Sonny. Thank you, Sonny, for joining me this preemptive Football is Almost Dead episode for the inevitable on the next edition. But you number one podcast listeners, thank you for tuning in. As always, like, subscribe, tell a friend to tell a friend, and share those episodes. I greatly appreciate when you plug the podcast and tell me how much you love it. Post about it so your friends can see. It means it means a great deal to me. So please know it does not go unnoticed, and I hope that you feel the appreciation that I do feel genuinely. So, number one podcast listeners, please keep it up. I greatly appreciate it. Speaking of New Year's resolutions, my goal is to be more consistent. First year of my son's life, I was inconsistent with these, but my goal is to get back to it. So, you number one podcast listeners, hopefully I live up to my end of the bargain. And I want to thank you for your support, and we'll talk to you next episode. Thanks, Sonny.
Yes, sir. Thank you, brother. Thank you, guys.